best way to introduce the homies. Is that what we're going with? The homies? Mm-hmm. Best way to introduce the homies would be to sit and have a brandy and watch some really sick hands go down. What do you think?
Let's do it. Ha! That's every hand.
Good shove there.
Every hand that Perks is involved with. That one is it's not that bad. I mean, you called, you had ace 10. Was it 60-40, something like that, 70-30, something like that?
Yeah, I think Vic was about 70% on
this one, however. That's
Arthur
pretty
in
amazing.
a tough spot there.
Yes.
Until the river. Now, if Din is watching, he should rewind that hand and watch it again to figure out.
Does Din keep getting caught by counterfeits?
Counterfeit 2-pair.
For the benefit of Din or anybody else who's being confused by this counterfeit 2-pair rule, we can see on the turn Rouge is actually winning with his 9-3 for 2-pair, but by the river, Arthur is taken over as having the best hand. I've put up on the screen here the 2 5-card hands that each player ends up using on the river, and we can see that now the 5s have appeared. Arthur is able to play 2-pair, jacks and 5s with a 10 kicker, whereas Rouge is only able to play 2-pair 9s and 5s with a 10 kicker. I hope that clears things up. I'm sure it won't.
Let's see where this one goes. Jack 4, flat tire.
23% equity.
Ooh.
Never in doubt.
Never in doubt.
That left Froggy on less than one big blind there as well.
Right, Paper Dragons. Let's see what he's got. Oh man, that's ugly. All right, that's the winner so far, I think. Oh, is it me? Is it my turn?
Oh, it is.
Oh, yeah.
The question is, Colin, are you the one doing the sicking or the one being sicked?
I believe I'm doing the sicking here. I remember this hand. It's great. I think there's a diamond on the river coming up for me. Yeah!
Cha-ching!
Booyah!
All skill, all the time.
All skill. So this is for the best player, isn't it? And that's why I'm winning so far.
That's right. Oh yeah, have we explained that we're going to do the poker awards for the luckiest and unluckiest player?
You just have now, so that's the explanation done.
Arthur there, river in a good shot.
Yep, which is usually the other way around against Arthur.
Me and Big playing for 42,000 chips. Ouch. There we are. So to sort of take a bit more of a scientific approach on seeing who'd been lucky and who'd been unlucky, I went in the hand histories and I looked at all of the times the players have been all in, and what we see in the chart is how well they did compared to what would be expected given their hands. So if you win a 10,000 chip pot by spiking a 7 on the turn, for example, then you'll see a big increase in this number. And if the corresponding loser would see a big decrease. So this is showing per 100 hands how many chips people have won or lost through being lucky or unlucky when they were all in. So for example, Vic wins 5,500 chips per 100 hands. If you think an average tournament's maybe about 200 hands, 300 hands, something like that.
So does that mean she was lucky, or does that mean that she should have won?
That means she was lucky. That means over the course of the 100 hands on average, she wins an extra 5,000 chips when all in, above expectation. Whereas the likes of Curly Joe, Ed and Froggy are all losing substantial amounts of chips per 100 hands.
Should we actually show them this? It might put them off.
Oh, I think this is okay. I hope.
Oh, it's me again. I have outs.
You certainly did. That was for about 40% of the chips in play. That was quite exceptional.
Yep.
And the classic river magnets there.
Here we go. This is how I remember playing these games. Oh, the pain.
The way it gives you like both despair and hope on the flop,
Yeah.
and then dashes that little bit of hope.
And then I see a few chips going in my direction. Who's going to win this one? King Queen's looking good, but the tens takes it.
Straight on the river. Rouge busts the pair of them. Outstanding. You'd get it in with Rouge here, right?
Absolutely, in a heartbeat. And that's I sense what's coming. I can't really call this that much of a bad beat. I mean,
it was unlucky for
it's
Rouge.
very lucky, but
Phil, he's had a few run-ins with bad luck over the year.
Wow. 4? Yep. All right, this is my new winner so far.
It was just the sheer foresight of getting it all in there with the Jack 4.
That's pretty painful there. All right, so far Curly Joe's my winner. Is it going to come out with an animation?
Yes, I spent literally seconds doing PowerPoint animation this afternoon.
Excellent.
So, without further ado, then presenting the luckiest player, as voted by his peers, Lord Perks.
Quelle surprise!
Quelle surprise, indeed.
I think. I mean, I would ask him for a speech, but no, I've lost my thread.
Do you want to know something incredible, Colin?
Please do.
I've asked Lord Perks to send in a speech, so let's go over to Lord Perks and see what he thought of this.
Excellent.
I got to add this to my Tinder profile.
Runners-up, Dean and Froggy for luckiest player.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I can speak up in a lot of these, all three of these players' defense for luckiest players, they are all relatively new to the game, and I think they've all improved quite massively over the past 12 months. And I think with that in mind, it seems like there's a lot less Perkses as Perks does hands. And a lot more hands where you think, oh, yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, when I come back, I'm looking forward to getting pocket aces bust for the first time. Everything will feel normal again.
Standard. Not so lucky for Perks on that one.
Alas, no. See, so far, this is looking pretty 50-50.
Good 3-bet from Curly Joe. He's unlucky to run into a set, really. I think actually Curly Joe played that hand really nicely. And even better when you hit on the turn.
We all know that Jack King never loses, so this is fine.
Fact. Which way is this going to go?
Well, we shall see.
The correct way.
The correct way, the obvious way.
Unluckiest player. Drum roll, please.
Froggy.
James APF. Borne out by the statistics as well, that one.
Yeah.
Runners up.
I
Phil
mean,
Taylor and Arthur.
Whilst I've not been around so much for the past 6 months, when I was there, I always seem to remember that Arthur would always be getting cold decked or always be getting sicked. But it would always hang on to the absolute bitter end as well.
Oh, hang on. And Froggy couldn't be here with us tonight, but he did send in this fantastic speech, which we'll listen to now.
I'll keep it short. You can play the man, or you can play Lady Luck. But when Lady Luck's in bed with the man, just give up.
I bust out 2 hands later in 9th with £100. When first prize was about 1,200. Oh, yeah.
That one, absolutely massive. That heartbreak for Din there. He had Phil in a right bad spot.
Did you just fold King Jack then?
I think I did.
Never lose it.
Oh, it would have lost this time. Yeah, another big loss for Froggy.
Sensing a bit of a pattern here. Always happens to Froggy. No, this is... Oh.
Perks on an absolute punt and hits.
Yeah, I suppose. I can't see why he should have still been in there with his ace king. But if you thought it was good, if you thought his opponent had ace queen,
it's not bad, is it? It's just a big gamble that the other person actually has nothing. This one, on the other hand, not so much of a gamble.
Where's it going? Oh. And of course, you're calling with your 8-5.
Suited.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
They were suited, as all the good players say. Ouch. Always a dangerous hand, bottom 2 pair.
Yeah, you went from luckiest to unluckiest. They were suited.
went the long way
run
round.
Straight, you say?
I remember this hand. I could not believe that Rouge had ace king. Not that that's not part of his range, just that could have been ace 10, ace 9, ace 8.
Yeah. So he obviously deserved to lose then.
Yeah, I did the only honourable thing.
You took him out. It's a funky town. It's like Omaha, you watching the chips going and then they get pushed to the wrong player.
They certainly get pushed to the wrong player on this one.
Ooh.
Out.
Nasty.
Hello everyone. So just to round this video out, me and Colin are going to go through a couple of hands from each of Perks and Froggy, exemplifying why they might have won their awards.
Let's do this.
Okay. So, join the first hand, Perks in early position with 9s. This was at 10:23 p.m, so this was in the freeze-out part of the tournament.
Okay, so far so.
Yeah, I think that's a standard raise for Perks now, is to min raise, and I think that's totally cool. And Vic calls in the big blind with completely clear call and flops a straight. and checks. So put yourself in Moomin's shoes here. Bear in mind as well, you're playing for against the official luckiest player in the home game. So maybe you should factor that into your decision making.
Fold.
Prescient as ever. Would you consider slow playing this?
I mean, I rarely consider slow playing anything but the absolute stone cold, uncrackable hands. So I think if I was Vic, I think she did right to check actually because Perks was the pre-flop aggressor.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all right. I think I would be. I think I might. Yeah, I think I would flat call this if I was Vic and see what the turn brings.
Yeah, I think against Perks, I would flat call some of the time and raise some of the time. Vic puts in a half pot raise. Perks calls and hits the dream turn card.
I think I'd be a bit more cagey at this point, knowing that the potential full house has just hit.
Yeah.
Obviously, I won't even factor quads into it.
Vic bets half of a stack and Perks shoves. And there's no river going to save Vic on this one.
Last, no.
Massive pot as well. 24,000 chips. Perks from close to last into, what's that, third?
Yeah, I think he played that very well, to be honest. I mean, that's the thing. There's luck in these hands, but at the same time, he got Vic's chips offer. He didn't wait for her to bet. He was the aggressor throughout the hand. So I think that was nicely done.
Yeah, I agree. So on one hand, Perks was very lucky because it was a cold deck. There's no way that Vic could certainly not fold at any point on the hand, I don't think. But because Perks played it really well and made sure that he got the chips in when it mattered. So for example, he shoved the turn, and that was by far the best play. He led the flop again, which I think was the best play, even though he was behind at the time. So I guess what I'm saying is make sure that you're aggressive, because then when you get these cold deck situations, at least you get your opponent's stack.
Yeah, I hope Beebe's listening to this one.
Oh. Okay, so I've got another example of Perks running hot I thought we could have a look at. And he limps in early position with ace jack off.
Same victim, it looks like.
Yeah. I see a certain column on the left-hand side of the table there with the chip lead.
Yeah. Rare day. It's a lot of chips, actually. Probably lost them.
Perks bets his top pair. One big blind. Everyone calls. Dream turn for Vic. Flats there. I think.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, I was going to say, I'm just agreeing. Flats. It's an interesting one. Yeah. There's an argument for both. I mean, given her stack size as well, I think it's not an unreasonable shout there.
Yeah, agreed. There's still one more round to get the chips in, and that 5,000 is not even going to be a pot size bet on this river. So I think, yes, slow playing it is okay. Perks, min raises. I mean, I think that's a bit optimistic, personally.
I do as well.
In there. And I know it's very easy to say that when we can see the other people's cards. But let's say best case scenario, Froggy has a club draw that he's picked up on the turn, and Moomin has Jack Queen. Then calling there is still okay. And it's not like the raise is going to get Froggy to fold his flush draw, the hypothetical flush draw. So I personally don't feel raising there really adds a lot. What it does do is make sure that you lose all of your chips if you're behind on this hand, because now his stack size is so small compared to the pot that he can't fold. But
I think if I was Vic, I would shove at this point.
yeah, try and preserve your equity. Make sure that the draws have to pay the maximum. To be in, because Froggy's hand does look very much like a draw. He's led when a fairly innocuous turn card is hit and then called a raise.
Yeah, if I thought my 8 was good, then I'd be shoving. Otherwise, I don't know.
Well,
Is there an argument? Is there any argument whatsoever for folding an 8 at this point?
I don't think so. I think the stack sizes are just too small. If it was like 8-2 or something, I mean, maybe 8-2 with no club.
Perhaps. Yeah, so I think shove at that point would have been good would have been the best move from Vic.
I think so. But do you know what the best move of all is?
To get a jack on the river.
Bingo. 10,000 chip pot. You just river the nuts, more or less, and shove. Any thoughts that folding is an option?
Given the amount of chips left, the amount of chips in the pot, this is one of those where you absolutely hate it, but you've got a call.
I agree. And this is the big upside to Perks's raise on the flop, is now that there's no possibility that Vic could fold. I think you could imagine if he hadn't raised, Vic would have a few more chips, the pot would be a bit smaller, this bet would be a bit bigger. Maybe Vic could get away from it, but not for 4,000 and 10,000. To folding, in my opinion, folding would be a mistake. And Vic pays off.
Big question is, though, if you're Vic, what could Perks have at this point? He could have the straight.
Yes, possibly. It's tricky, isn't it? Because I don't imagine Perks is in there bluffing with like ace high or busted clubs very often. Just an abysmal river, isn't it? Oh, this one. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but this is an absolute cracker. I'll say I've spent about 2 hours looking through hand histories today, trying to find interesting hands, and this was a good one. So Curly Joe raises it up pre-flop out the blinds with the sevens. I like this. I think this is one of the reasons that Curly Joe does well in these tournaments. When he's got strong cards pre-flop, he makes sure that a raise goes in and the people have to pay.
Yeah.
And that was a fairly substantial raise as well. Was that a pot-sized raise? It was.
Yeah, it's about that.
It was quite large. And Froggy's call here.
Yeah. I mean, there's the old saying that you make your own luck, but I think that also goes in reverse. You can also make your own bad luck. And at this point, I do have to wonder why Froggy's what he's doing here in this hand with his queen nine here. And bad luck can happen to you because you put yourself in that position.
Yeah, I think it's not a very optimistic call, isn't it? The queen nine suit. It's not that it's a bad hand at all, but a relatively high percentage of the time, Curly Joe's going to be in here with something that has queen nine in very bad shape.
I think a big raise like that from the big blind. I think I just if I'd made that flat call for whatever reason, I would. I mean, given that Rouge is in the hand with a flat call, it's not too bad. But I think at that point, with the big raise from the big blind, I'd just stick my tail between my legs and walk off and just jettison those 250 chips.
Yeah, agreed. It was quite a large raise. So again, if Curly Joe made it like 700, I absolutely would call the difference.
Oh, yeah,
but it was quite a large raise. Well, with all that in mind, let's see what actually flopped. An up and down for Froggy, set for Curly Jolie. Think we're going to see some fireworks.
I hope so.
Checks. Checks. No, in all sincerity, I think that's probably a pretty good check behind from Froggy there.
Yes, it is.
The last thing you'd want to do is bet and Curly Joe shoves and you're sat there with a straight draw. So I think really good check.
Ooh.
And rewarded. Curly Joe bets one big blind.
Because you do.
What you doing, Froggy Shoes here?
I think you've got to make that. You've got to make that raise. That sounded like a football pundit then, saying, "Oh, he's got to score."
You've got to make that raise.
I think you. But in all sincerity, I think you have got to make that raise, because if Curly Joe was raising pre-flop, Ace King, Ace Jack, King Queen, King Jack is then I think you're liable to get paid off if you make that raise.
Yeah, I agree. I never like closing the action with the nuts or the near nuts, so I would make a raise. I'd probably go somewhat large, maybe up to about 2,000, something like that, and see whether Curly Joe wants to call. And as you say, what you're targeting is hands like two pair. Sets that you don't want to let in for cheap.
Yeah.
Probably flats.
Which is just done. I think we can guess what's coming.
Shove. For 3 times the size of the pot. Now, I'm going to prefix this by saying I'm a total calling station. I would call this every single time.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Is there a fold? Is a fold possible here? He has bet 3 times the size of the pot. He's basically saying he's got a full house or quads.
Yeah, he is. I mean, I have folded hands like this and have been correct to do so. I've also called hands like this and been incorrect to do so. It's a really tricky one. The bet by Curly Joe is so fucking good. I absolutely love that bet.
Yeah, I love a big bet on the river, and 3 times the pot. That qualifies.
That's so good. I love it.
Just sorry, I know I always am really boring and go on about it, but look at the pot odds. He's getting 1.29 to 1 on a river. That's absolutely unheard of. But
the Queen 9, could I fold it? Yes. Would I fold it? Oh, I don't know.
Against Curly Joe in that spot, he raised pre.
Because I'd be thinking that bet on the turn was extremely suspicious.
Yeah, 1 big blind.
The only thing that I could feel that I was beating, Ace Queen beats me, which is a hand that's well within his range. 7-7, 10-10, Jack-Jack, King-King beats me. King-Jack beats me, King-10 beats me, but I beat Ace-King.
King-Queen.
Beat King-Queen.
That's it, really.
Yeah.
Well, let's see whether Froggy can get away from it. No. As I say, I would have paid that off. But bit of a bad spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's still got loads of chips behind, so I think if it was for all my chips, I would have folded. But given that I've still got a healthy stack behind me, I think I would have called.
Yeah, agreed.
But if that was my tournament life, I think it's a tough call because it's not even the nut straight.
Agreed. Yeah, Ace Queen's a worry.
Yeah, so I think I would have folded if I was all in. But it is a really tough one, and it's easy for me to say.
Let's take a look at another example of Froggy running badly.
Let's
see if we can find some evidence for this mantle of unluckiest player beyond the raw poker tracker stats that confirmed it. Yeah, this is a bit of a cracker as well, actually. Beeb still limping in under the gun with ace-8 suited.
How long ago was this? Is Beavster back these days?
This was from either the 3rd of February or the 2nd of March, depending on whether this uses American time or not. So Froggy coming in 45% equity on the flop with an up and down straight draw.
Mm-hmm.
Perks has nothing. Backdoor diamonds, Beebster, backdoor diamonds, and ace high. It was limped around pre. Perks leads, obviously.
One of his classic 1-2-3 bets.
Yeah. So with that in mind, a clear call, I think, here for Froggy. If it was other players in this position here, I'm not saying I would fold, but I'll be a bit apprehensive about calling because they might raise. But I think BB raises so rarely that it's
precisely
trivially easy.
And when it does, it's usually pretty small as well.
Froggy calls. BB calls. Nothing special there. Queen of diamonds. Top pair for Froggy and his equity improves to 70%. It's working out quite well because Perks and Beebster are blocking each other's diamond out.
But I'm sure they're not blocking it for long.
Perks with 0% equity. He's like, well, the only way I'm winning this pot is by betting. So he bets.
Does he?
Unfortunately, he didn't bet big enough. Yeah, he bet 500.
I mean, would you really call that a bet?
You're saying it's a sort of decorative check.
Yeah,
it's a check with style.
Well, I wouldn't say style, but decorative check, I think, is a good term, and I'm going to steal that one.
Froggy calls. Beebster calls. And the river. King of diamonds.
See, that's really unlucky for Perks.
It's a good check, though, wasn't it?
It's a good check.
Froggy makes the straight. Bets half pot. If you're in Beebster's shoes?
If I was in Beebster's shoes, I think I would certainly put in at least another... well, given the amount of chips, I think I would just go for the shove here. Given that given that a raise practically, I mean, I don't think it's going to pot commit Perks with 4K, so I think I'd just not mess about and go all in.
Yeah, try and make it so that someone with the second best hand's in a really tough position. Yeah, I think that's a good move. I think making it about 5,000 is good as well.
Yeah.
I do wonder, had Beebster miraculously flat called, would Perks have shoved? I think he probably would. But let's see.
I think so.
Beebster min raises. Perks flats. He obviously smells a rat. And Froggy pays off. And I guess
Froggy
really
does well there to just call.
Yeah. My observation really is that sometimes being unlucky is not whether you're getting crushed on your all-ins or having second best hands and all that kind of thing. Sometimes just the worst card in the deck hits on the river for you. You know, we gave Froggy the straight that he was pretty happy with, but also completed the flushes for both of his opponents.
Yeah. I think BB left a few chips on the table there.
Yeah, if he'd shoved,
I think he left 4,625 chips on the table.
Yeah, perhaps. Do you think Froggy would have folded?
Don't know.
In that spot, it would be a tough fold, but maybe
it'd be a tough fold. I don't think he would.
Maybe when a tight player shoves and Perks, for all he might be quite aggressive, I don't think he stacks off very light with bad hands, so you have to feel that Perks has a good hand when he calls that all in.
Yeah. If Perks calls the all in, I think Froggy could get away from it.
Agreed. On the evidence of those hands, then, how do we feel about the collective decision to appoint Froggy as the unluckiest player?
Well, it's I mean that wasn't super unlucky, that one. I mean, it was unlucky given we know what we know, which is you've got one of the diamonds and there's so many diamonds out there. But I still think of seeing more bad fortune going in the direction of Arthur and Phil. However, the British public have spoken.
They're never wrong, Colin.
They're never wrong, apparently.
Never.